so.
Oh, I used to...
5 days for a vacuum?
How often are you supposed to be...
Wait. So
How often do you wash your ass? Every time you shower?
I do.
Welcome to meet you, man. Woo!
Welcome to meet you, Dart. My name's Robbie. This is Dart. Welcome to meet you, the podcast where we share our friendship for your benefit.
Hello! Hi!
High five.
This is novel, isn't it?
Feels like a kids show now.
It is a kid's show now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know when we upload this to YouTube, it says, is this made for kids, yes or no? And I thought that was just like a, you know, is it raunchy or no? And we had an episode, I didn't think we did anything bad, so I said yes. You need to jump through, it doesn't let you upload. You need to like jump through a bunch of, you need to basically like submit a working with children's check.
Fair enough. I think the situation
I think it's fair enough too.
Kids content on YouTube is bizarre. And we're not going to go into it now, but weird.
It is weird.
You know, you see when you're not logged into anything, like these sorts of videos will come up on the home screen that are just kind of irksome and...
Yeah. Look, it reminds me...
I don't know. Yeah. We don't have to go into it.
Like, it is interesting. Like, this might need to be cut. But you
Sure.
Tell me what you think. I don't know. Like,
Yo!
Maybe...
Yo!
Yo!
Hey!
Hey, maybe you should include me saying, should this be cut? And then coming
sure,
straight
that's fine.
back in.
So we're here in Dart's wonderful abode yet again.
Sorry.
And I'll just say, Dart, you just had a shower, which was so awesome. And what happened just a moment ago?
So... Robbie came in and I was very flustered, busy setting up the place, and I was running behind. And Robbie says to me, you should have a shower. To reset, feel better, I said, do I stink? He said, just have a shower. It'll make you feel better. I said, okay. I went to have a shower. Piscott finished off this sentence here. I couldn't have a shower. Why? Because, you know, I share a bathroom. And of course it was occupied. It's one other couple. The coffee shop downstairs is closed. They're always fucking in there. Always fucking in there. I'm standing out there. Robbie's waiting in here. Standing out there for 5 minutes. Come back in. Go back out there. Robbie's like, you should knock. I said, okay. And I'm listening at the door because I can't hear the shower going. So they shouldn't be that long. So I knock. I said, how long? He said, 5 more minutes. So that's, 20 minutes total for that session?
We were 25 minutes, I reckon.
Yeah.
All up.
Yeah.
From when we intended to when you eventually got in, I think.
And then I go in and I sent Robbie a photo. What'd you say?
Yeah, I'll include it here if that's okay with you.
That's okay.
Yes. So
no shower running. There was no shower running. So
that's wild to me.
That's wild.
Had it just been maybe cleaned by other people?
Maybe, but it's like you saw how the water felt. It's very strange.
Can I also include a picture here of a photo that you sent me last night? Again, bathroom similarly soaked. There was something on the drain on the floor of the bathroom. What is this? You can see it now. What is this?
I said to Robbie, it can't be anything else other than shit, right? I thought it might have been a squash bug. It didn't smell. I didn't get close enough to it to smell. I've had a very busy couple of days, and getting in that bathroom, and like you see from the photo, it's really central. It's quite a small bathroom. So many times I nearly stepped on it, and I reckon I would have like rage yelled if I stepped on it because I was that close to my limit. Disgusting, right?
It's crazy how many anecdotes seem to come from this relationship because I live with 4 other blokes.
Yeah,
there are 5 blokes in my house.
Yeah.
I can maybe think of one time where I was having issue getting into the bathroom.
That's so crazy. Fuck. Because I haven't lived with people for ages other than like a partner. And I was thinking, this is what it must be like. You share a bathroom.
It's not like this.
Bro, I'll get up in the middle of the night. Oh, I need to piss so bad. It's occupied. I will get up from working in the middle of the day, busting to take a shit. It's occupied. You guys know from 2 episodes ago, I had to piss in a bucket. What's next? You think I should talk to it?
I cannot believe you haven't yet. I think the piss in the bucket would have been the final straw for me. I think you should talk to them, absolutely. I think that's the easy bit. I mean, shit on the floor, potentially, is kind of...
I think the coffee shop being involved makes it tough because it's like, what if it's not them? Like, they might think it's me.
Communicate.
Literally
be like, hey, have you guys noticed this?
Good point.
And they might be like, yeah, I hate that too. Or, oh, yeah, that's because... Or maybe they don't notice it at all, but just communicate.
I did something the other night that you might like. Got one back for the good guys.
For the good guys.
So my mum's coming to stay this weekend, and I wanted to get the place clean in preparation for her. So I, of course, did all my washing, washed my linen, and of course, washing machine full of their clothes, dryer full of their clothes.
Always.
So I needed both those things. There's a laundry sink. I took all of their shit, dirty and clean, and I chucked it in the sink.
Both wet and dry?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's really passive aggressive.
That's shots fired.
That's shots fired. And I was actually bracing myself for knocks. Like, what the fuck? Why did you do this? And I was getting ready to say, because I am fucking busy and I need to do this every day. If you remember when I first moved in, I used to put them in bags for you and put them at the door for you to collect. Now, no, because you should have got the message by now that this is too much now. This is too much. These are too many anecdotes now. It's too many anecdotes.
This is how many, you need to talk to them.
I need to talk to them. I do. I also wanted to just say, lastly on this, when I came back, I said to Robbie, please tell me, did I stink before? And Robbie said, yeah, you stunk. And I said, thank you, because I asked him to tell me honestly. This is no reflection of Robbie. I'm interested to know from a close friend, because I haven't showered today, whether if I don't shower through a day and I'm busy, whether I stink. You need someone who's close to you to tell you that. You're not going to get that information otherwise, because I can't smell myself.
You don't shower in the morning?
When I work from home, oftentimes, I'll shower in the arvo. I'll just get up and work.
I love a shower. I love a cold shower.
A cold shower?
Gotta tell you, Bride's told me, found something on the events coming up at this particular place. She sent it to the family chat with the caption, Engagement Party 2.0. They're doing pig racing. So for those that haven't heard, basically our engagement party went to a crab racing event, which was somewhat compromising, mostly just fun and weird though. And yeah, I think the same place is doing like pig racing.
So
it's like a pink event image with like a snout.
It's because they made so much money on the crab racing. They made like $3,000 upwards very quickly, didn't they?
Absolutely. You got your hair cut recently.
Yeah.
You got to tell me about this.
Okay. So I went and got my hair cut, and I had...
It looked good, by the way. I mean, obviously you can't see, but he got his beard trimmed. He got his hair cut and coloured. It looks great.
Tell him what colour.
Pink, like the Alice in Chains guy. Was that right?
Yeah.
Bold choice, but a good one.
Yeah, it's like a faded pink. I got it cut at one place and I got it colored at the other, and I had very contrasting experiences. I won't say either of the barbers' names or the places, but where I got it cut, the guy was the CEO of polyamory. No, okay. He wasn't the CEO of polyamory. He was the CEO of whatever it is when like straightish dudes paint their nails. He was the CEO of like vaguely bi. Like, and don't cut this because I don't give a fuck. Like, love you all, but like I just sat down. What's really interesting to me about people like this, and you'll understand what kind of person I'm talking about in a second, is that they're all about boundaries and they're about respect and they're about being all that kind of stuff. If you've seen that viral clip of that, and maybe we can insert it quickly, of that barber saying, before we get started, can I have your permission to touch you? Have you seen that?
Okay, is it okay if I touch you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what are your pronouns?
They, them.
She, they. I'm glad we exchanged those.
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad that you came in today. So I'm okay if I touch you.
Go right ahead.
And what are your pronouns?
He, him.
She, her. Thank you for asking earlier. Okay,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So so if you haven't seen that, I'll send it to you. It's very viral, and he's like that. We're sitting there for 2 minutes. He's doing my hair. He's a very good barber, nice guy, and he's telling me, how's your week been? Yeah, all right. How's yours been? Yeah. So I recently came out as pansexual.
What's that one?
I think it's attracted to personality. I think. Should I look it up quickly?
Yeah, just quickly.
Yeah. So
it's one that I've heard.
Yeah,
a lot,
I always
but I don't
forget.
really know what it means. Yeah.
So he came out as pansexual to his partner, who is female identifying. Example of typically people who identify as pansexual can feel an attraction to anyone, including individuals who do not identify as a specific gender. For example, people with a pansexual orientation may feel an attraction to someone who is agender.
Okay, something that's coming to mind for me here is like, Bride's had an experience this morning with an ice head on her street. Yeah. Compromising situation. This person was escaping DV and was on her bike, and it was just a bad vibe. But Bride's got this person's life story in the first 2 sentences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why is it always ice heads and pansexuals that they're so keen to share every detail in the first moments of any interaction?
It's really interesting. I think what it is sometimes is vulnerable people feel safe in your presence when they can divulge things that might make them vulnerable to people who would take advantage of them, and you don't take advantage of them. So essentially bearing their bottom to you and you do nothing, they know that they're safe. That's been my hypothesis. What do you think about that? You've got something on your eyelash. Can I get it?
Yeah.
Close your eyes.
Thanks. Yeah. I think that's maybe true. How does that get learned? I wonder. Because I think that we're quite vulnerable people, but I'm not necessarily going about my vulnerability in that way.
I don't think we're vulnerable people.
You don't think so?
No, not in the scope of vulnerability. I think
Wow.
that we're vulnerable to people that we trust, and we're so if we zoom out and look at the scope of how vulnerable people can get, I think that we get to meet people, hold our cards close to our chest, learn a little bit about them, and then show some vulnerability. I think that's in the normal range. I think people who have faced persecution and violence for certain things, such as their sexuality and stuff, are way more like where they feel the need to basically only be around people they know they can be safe with, like that. Work in inclusive spaces, all that. That's why I try to think about when I get my back up a little bit when I get an email about Asexual Awareness Day at work, and I think that's so fucking stupid. And then I think, come on, maybe there is a life experience here that I'm not privy to that makes that feel like a better place to come to work when you're recognized for something that you've maybe been ridiculed about before. I don't know. I think when it comes to stuff like Pride Month and stuff like sexuality and shit, and speaking about it, I think if I, like some peers that I grew up with who were gay and closeted, if I was them and I was gay and closeted throughout my whole puberty, and then it got into my 20s, and then I eventually came out, and then I was then open, I can understand how affirming, liberating, and needful Pride and Pride Month is. So I'm on board for that, and I fuck with it.
Same here, by the way.
Yeah,
Same here. Like, obviously.
For sure. And that's, that's the least of people, like, that's worries, like, in countries where it's, people are, whatever.
Exactly.
But I think what's funny about the experience I had at the barber, which I'll get more into here, is I'm in their workplace. I'm in their, like, it's so unprompted. It's so uncontextualized. I'm a brand new person, so I think it's safe to assume, and he's working, so I think it's very safe to assume that this person has many conversations like that. And then what does that mean for an individual when they meet someone first and the first thing they say is that they're pansexual? You know what I mean?
It's like that guy I met at that toasty shop that was talking about his lover. Remember that time I was telling you about that? Yeah, like kind of using certain language or going about the conversation in a way that's a bit just weirdly sexual.
Exactly. And this, we're talking about the pansexuals right now. One of the biggest perpetrators for these fucking people like this are straight people who will just start talking about their shit. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, of course.
And
of course.
I actually personally love hearing about it. So, like, I'm not even complaining. Tell me all your shit. I want to hear the deep and dirty straight off the bat. I love it. But
did something just happen in this person's life? Like, why was it?
Well, he said he just came out as
He just came out
pansexual.
as... Okay, all right. Yep.
And then he's telling me about that.
Yeah.
And then he's saying... And then he's saying he just came out as pansexual to his... But the thing that he said that really weirded me out was he just came out as pansexual and polyamorous. Now, as far as I know, polyamory is more of a lifestyle choice than something you would come out to to an existing partner.
Some people, I think some people
Identify as polyamorous.
Yeah, because I think there were both. Like I think I assumed that too, but I think people actually like identify it as like a core of their being.
No shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
like it's like that's how I navigate connections.
Right.
Is like I don't know, have to be able to facilitate some kind of romanticism with this or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, so this guy's got a girlfriend, comes out as pansexual, comes out as polyamorous, and then
At the
same time, girlfriend says that he says to me, oh, my girlfriend said that she was going to support me through it and everything, and then, after 2-3 weeks, it turned out that that wasn't going to be the case, and so now single for the first time in ages, this and that. And I'm like, oh wow, how are you finding that? And he's like, interesting. But I will say one of the worst parts about being a barber, or one of the things about that they don't tell you when you're becoming a barber, that you're going to have to cut the hair of people that you fuck. Speaking of, the person that's coming in right after you is someone who I've just started sleeping with, and I'm just like, fucking hell. And this person comes in. Okay, so what do we know? Pansexual. He's just come out as pansexual, polyamorous. So pansexual, as we've just read, attracted to the person separate of the gender. The person comes in that he's just started sleeping to after having this awakening. What the fuck? She's a young, hot as fuck little emo girl. That's interesting. That's very interesting. It's so funny. The personalities of these people, the gems that we find, fucking. I'm attracted. It bewilders me. It bewilders me.
To
this day. And look, I'm being hyperbolic. I know I'm being reductive, but it's just.
I wonder what about this person's personality is so enamoring.
I just feel like if I just had been holding in this pansexual tendency that I had, and I ended this 3-year relationship, I would hope that you would see a partner or a sleeping person I'm sleeping with
that was a little uglier.
I have a few mates who are more in this camp than me. Like I have a few transgender mates and a non-binary mate, and I can hear their voices in my head saying, "You're being a reductive dickhead." Maybe I am, but come on. There's at least a room there for me to joke about how funny it is that the pansexual awakening leads to a hot little emo girl.
I think so.
And when I say emo girl, I'm like, she's obviously of age.
Yeah.
But, you know.
And, you know, isn't humour in the bounds of inclusivity?
I think so.
Not to be made fun of relentlessly, obviously. That's not, they like to, you know, to be bullied is not. But don't we see it as sort of like a mark of respect that, you know...
Yes, I think so. And I also think if he is comfortable enough to tell me, a virtual stranger, all these things, he should be comfortable enough for me with that information and not assuming anything more to make a joke about it. I should be allowed to make a joke about it. Because I don't know him. If I knew him very well, took all these circumstances, knew this wasn't true and was like making complete fun of him and calling him a fraud or something, but I don't know who this person is.
It's absolutely fine. We wish him well. We wish him all the best. We wish him happiness and no suffering. Yeah. And what comes to mind for me when you mention this is everyone came round to our house recently to watch the Roast of John Cleese.
Yeah.
John Cleese, Monty Python, you know him.
You know him, Fawlty Towers.
Fish Called Wanda.
He came to Australia and got roasted by some Aussie comic royalty.
On Channel 7.
On Channel 7, mate.
Here's the trailer.
He's a legend. He's an icon. He's barely alive. Please welcome John Cleese.
Join us as we roast a comedy legend.
You have come all the way from England to be smashed by a bunch of Aussies. Now you know what it feels like to be the English cricket team.
Australia's funniest are dishing it out.
John studied at Cambridge. You'd think he'd be smart enough to get a prenup.
And he's giving it back.
You've given us Vegemite, kangaroos, Tim Tams, and Rupert Murdoch.
The Roast of John Cleese premieres Tuesday, March 12 on 7 and 7+.
So
incredible. It was incredible.
So first thing I want to touch on is this being brought up by Jordan in the group chat. He was like, you know, we should watch this. I then organised to have it at our place. I put out there, I said, you know, I just laid some ground rules down in the group chat about the night, when it was, what, you know, I've just a couple of times, just so it doesn't get lost, so people know when it is. If they want to come, they can. Anybody in this chat, I said, was welcome, right? And I thought it'd be fun to do together as sort of the first IRL kind of event, really, of that chat.
Yeah.
I mean,
was
but
really
beyond
cool.
your housewarming.
From my housewarming, yeah.
So I said, food's not going to be provided. Dinner's not provided.
No.
7 p.m. doors.
Yep.
7:30 screening. It's a work night. We've all got stuff to do.
And can I say, this is extremely wise, because what happens if you don't have someone like Robbie to take charge of the timing like this on an event like this? Because this is like, we had like 12 people. People rock up not at 7. They rock up anywhere upwards to 8 if you're lucky. And then they go, what are we doing for dinner? And then everyone fucks around with that for an hour. And then you don't end up watching the thing that goes for an hour and a half until 9. And it's a school night and it's too late. And Robbie was avoiding that. Very reasonable. Very good idea.
I got roasted pretty hard for that. I
Only
feel
by
like.
Jordan.
Oh, actually, that's true. Yeah. Jordan, yeah, he had massive issue. Should we call him?
Yeah, let's call it.
Let's call him, and I just want to know, like, why he had such issue. I don't want to mischaracterize what he was saying, because, and this is also interesting because just this morning he actually left the group chat, which is weird.
Yo, what's goody?
What's goody? Oh, you're on pod.
What's goody?
We're cool.
Jordan, it's Dad and Robbie. You're on pod right now. Are you comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with that.
We wanted to ask you a few questions, if that's okay.
Please.
All right. So I was just talking about the Roast of John Cleese, which, you know, was an idea that you put forward in the chat that, you know, I followed up with to organise it at our place, and sort of some of the instructions that I put forward before the event were, no dinner was going to be provided. Please eat before you arrive. 7 p.m. doors and 7:30 p.m. screening. And I was just saying how I got roasted in the chat about some of those instructions, and Dart remembered that you had issue with some of that stuff, and so I was just wondering. I didn't want to mischaracterize what you might have to say about some of that stuff. So, what was it that you had most issue with in terms of my instructions?
Oh, I was just a little disturbed by the no dinner will be provided had sort of an accusatory nature to it. It seemed as if you thought people would be arriving expecting dinner, and you seemed like you were already hostile about it. And I think that it deflated any chance of perhaps people all coming together to get some pizza or maybe making dinner together. I just thought it was immediately hostile, and that it definitely put everyone in their place with regards to...
It's interesting that you regarded it as hostile. I think it's interesting you regarded it as hostile because for me, it was clarity. I did not mean any ill will or any maliciousness towards the attendees. It was just sort of clarity. And I did agree with you that your pizza idea was a wonderful one.
I understand. I just think that I just don't know if the tone comes across like that. I'm not sure how to say how it was read, but if I was to write a rule like that, I think I would say something like, what's everyone thinking for dinner? We're not keen to cook for everyone, but perhaps we could all, I don't know, how's everyone feeling?
Sounds like you've got that subscription to Grammarly. It's doing wonders.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it? I love Grammarly. We should say we're sponsored by Grammarly.
You've caught me at an inarticulate time.
You're articulating yourself very well, and I think what you're saying is reasonable.
I think I think no. I think that's fair enough, and I think phrasing things as questions is a non-hostile approach. I have been having a difficult relationship with the Facebook Messenger app recently, where I'll check it too much. So I think just being blunt was more serving of my own interests in that moment, but I didn't want to be. I didn't mean it as hostile to people. It was more hostility to the use of the app for me. But also, I agree with you. You also had issue with me saying that the doors were 7 p.m. Can you tell me more about that?
Oh, no, I didn't have any issue with that at all.
Oh, okay. It was more just the dinner thing.
Yeah, I made a joke that you said, no dinner will be provided, eat beforehand, but also arrive at 7. It's like making your guests have finish their dinner and arrive by 7 p.m. I just thought it was funny.
And then we were saying that Jordan and I would be out the front in our cars eating wraps, eating tuna out of a can, waiting for doors.
I didn't really have a real issue with any of it. I'm just being, hyperbolic.
Of course.
But I did eat beforehand, and I did miss the opportunity to go in on the pizza, but I think that was more my own.
Yeah, you covered your own base.
Yeah.
And Jordan, lastly, before we let you go, we haven't touched on it too much, but Jordan today left the group chat that we've talked about, that we've been updating on, that Jordan himself has discussed. And I thought, Jordan, maybe you could enlighten the listeners on what informed that decision to leave and where you're at with it.
Well, it's become clear to me that the common denominator of toxicity in the chat is I. And I've been reading the chat, analysing the chat, trying to figure out why there's such a toxic vibe. And now that I've turned the magnifying glass onto myself, I can see Satan.
Do you actually think it's you?
My likes in the chat have been abysmal. Messages roasting me have been getting it, and it's likes that you've never seen before, 15, 16 thumb reacts.
All right, we should say.
I'm getting one I used to be the king of the reacts in that chat.
You were very popular. The tides have changed a bit.
Now, what happened, we should say, recently there was a beautiful call out, I think, in the chat of sharing notable cinematic moments of our lives. So, times in the cinema of note, and people were sort of sending, these 2-minute long sort of,
Best
heartfelt,
amazing memories that have occurred in the cinema.
And it was lovely. Everybody was contributing. Jordan, I was keen to hear his, and then instead of hearing a message from Jordan, what we got was a few written things about how he didn't feel sort of up to sharing because he kind of felt the group chat was atemporal or something like that. Just recording a voice message seemed to be at odds with your experience of the chat, which is fine, but it was disappointing for me, and I think most people probably in the chat. And Sophie, our good friend, responded in a way that was very curt. She said STFU, which I thumbs up because I did just want to hear your... I wanted to hear your movie moments. I didn't want to hear your excuses personally, but
Can I add clarity to the? I
Please.
think that there is important context. I waited until well after that exchange had ended. I think it was like a full 24 hours. I didn't deflate the experience that everyone else was having.
That's true.
No, you didn't. No, it was deflating for me as a person that was excited to hear what you had to say.
Yeah. I just can't listen to them. I find it so hard.
Say more. Say a little. Just lastly, say a little bit more on that.
I don't. I mean, I was trying to expand on it in the chat. I was using the chat as a sounding board for my thoughts on why I can't listen to these voice memos.
Like you can't even listen to them, let alone make one yourself.
No, I haven't. I didn't listen. I listened to maybe 4 seconds of each one when they get posted, and then I can't hack it.
What's interesting to me about this is because you famously sent one of the most incredible voice memos into that chat, which was your Dear Mr. Trump song idea.
Oh, yeah.
One of the rippers.
Very interesting. So I guess I'm a hypocrite, I suppose.
Aren't we all?
Mate.
Jordan, just so I know, do you want to have a break from the chat and then maybe we'll have a talk about adding you back in, or do you want back in now, or where are you at?
I'll never ask to be put back in the chat.
I know you'll never ask. I already kind of gathered that, but if I added you back in a couple weeks, would that make you feel good, bad, or nothing?
I can't speak on what my emotions will be in a few weeks from now.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll let it breathe and we'll see how it is. But we love you. I love you. Thank you for coming on the show again for this call.
I love you, and I missed the fucking chat.
And you what?
He misses the chat. Love you, Jordan.
Love you, George.
Have a good day.
My thumbs are wandering. They're twitching.
Yeah. Well, look, I dare say it might not be the last that you and the chat have seen of each other, but we'll see. Okay. All right. See you. Bye. Bye.
All right. That's interesting and fair enough. Although I do, I disagree fundamentally with the hostility versus the clarity. But what happened that night was we had a rip-roaring time with this. We knew it was going to be weird. So John Cleese, famous British, comedian that has kind of fallen from grace over the last 40 years to the extent that now he's doing the Roast of John Cleese at a Melbourne casino with no-name comedians.
Yeah, like a fucking...
on Channel 7.
What's his name? What's the 7pm Project guy's name that they kept ripping on? What's his name?
Shane Jacobson was there, but...
what's the weird-looking one?
Oh, Limo.
Yeah.
Limos.
They got, like...
Joel Creasy had an amazing rib at him, which is like, I love a limo gig. You can always get a car park at limo gig.
This... Go on.
I don't know, like... It's on 7, mate, or whatever, if you want to give it a crack. I wouldn't suggest doing what we did, which is front to backing it. If you do it with mates, it's kind of interesting.
Don't watch it by yourself.
No.
So just to be completely clear, Jordan put this to us as in the group chat to watch because of how bad it looked, and it was like to laugh at, and we did just that.
It's fascinating
until the Moon Man came on.
Well, we should say, I think
Yeah.
the notable people in it for me was Joel Creasy was really funny. Alex Lee was really funny.
Yeah.
Tom Gleeson had a really good
Actual.
He actually
the only
roasted.
person who roasted him was Tom Gleeson.
Properly went in. Essentially, one of the key quotes for me was like, "When did you last perform for fun?" Because he was going like, "Where's your money going? Get a habit." Or something, because nobody can understand why you are doing these horrible gigs for decade upon decade. It makes no sense where your money goes.
So funny. He's like, he just kept talking about, because if you watch this thing, it's so wild. It's a roast. You're supposed to be roasted like by your peers, by people that know you. This is a comedy legend from Britain being roasted by a bunch of way younger Aussie comics that are easy to book. They don't know anything about him. They just kept making age jokes about his age, and then compliments and age jokes. And then it comes to Tom Gleeson, and he's ripping him a new one, basically saying, you do all this thing for money. You're obviously here for money. And then, as Robbie said, when's the last time you worked because you enjoyed it? And it was just so earnest and so scathing. And like, his reaction was even different. He wasn't angry, but he was like, good one. Like, you know what I mean?
It was fucking good. Them. And he opened with a great quote. He goes like, yeah, I really looked up to you growing up, you know.
Yeah.
I also loved Rolf Harris and Bill Cosby. He's like, what's coming down the pipeline? What's coming down the line,
I'm bracing
John?
myself for the allegations.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
I'm bracing myself.
I think what happened was, we're watching this thing, making fun of it, about how unfunny it was, about how strange the whole premise of it, the whole thing was. But then when we got caught off guard when people came through with some actual funny shit.
We were howling.
Because who's the Moon Man?
Lawrence Mooney, I think.
Lawrence Mooney, who Jordo was kind of giving us some insider info on.
Which I'm not sure how much we can say. Allegedly,
a wildcat.
Wild card, got some issues.
And they kept joking about that on the show.
They absolutely did.
They said something about he's so white and straight that Mooney tried to snort him before the show, which I thought was really funny. and then Mooney gets on, and he.
Of course, we all know Shane from the movie Kenny, where he played a plumber that was surrounded by a bunch of turds, which was his inspiration behind the guest bookings tonight. Shane Jacobson is the perfect host, especially if you're a tapeworm. Wow, talk about a roomy buffet. I was chatting to Shane before the show, and we were talking about COVID. His biggest fear during COVID was running out of beer, running out of toilet paper, and running. John, I know you've only just landed in Australia, so you're probably not aware of the exchange rate. I'll run you through it. A pound is equal to about $1.90, which means Shane weighs about $2,000. He's a big bear of a man. Big bear of a man. That's why the producers had to hang our dinners in a tree. So that Shane couldn't get to them. You okay? You want your Ventolin? It's great to see these two great men together, Shane and John, because they are so similar. Both are actors and willing to take on any role you put in front of them. It's especially true for Shane with dinner rolls.
He didn't care about. He just kept going in on fucking what's his name?
Shane Jacobson's weight from Kenny fame,
you
IGA.
Couldn't stop him. He just over and over coming back to Shane Jacobson, how fat he was in different ways, and the repetition of such a superficial and laboured on already point, and that he found it so funny to call him fat, made us in the room break down. Like, we were screaming
You
laughing.
could not have predicted how often he kept going. Because as you say, every other comedian on the stage, because if you don't know on a roast, the roasters themselves all get roasted too.
Yeah.
So
they do like a bit of a bang,
all the way
and
through.
go to the main guy, yeah.
Some of them were fucking woeful. It was, half of this I would say was really painfully
non-starter
boring.
stuff.
But the one moment though that really sticks out for me from that night was there were some audience shots, shots of the audience at the Melbourne Casino where it was being performed. There was one shot, I'm not going to include a picture of it, but there was one shot of an audience member after a joke, really enjoying it, and she had a unique style of clapping that it was a noticeable style of clapping to me. Now, I stopped it and I said, "Excuse me, what was that?" Because a lot of pausing and going back was happening throughout the night. We were pausing, jokes of note, things of note, things we wanted to say.
Run that back.
Run that back. So I said, "Hang on a sec. What the fuck? She can't even clap." And I got roasted the hardest I have in months, I think.
Robbie was sinking into his chair and was getting roasted by the room, essentially for being ableist for this person and the way they clapped and their because Robbie was the shot goes and Robbie goes, no one reacts. Robbie pauses it and goes, she can't even clap. And I'm howling and everyone else is fucking roasting
Everyone
Robbie.
goes, "What do you mean? What are you saying?"
What's wrong with that? She's enjoying herself. And it eventually got so bad that I had to...
Well, you didn't... So we'll get to that. But this is... it was a fascinating moment because it caused a lot of reflection for me. Why did I find it notable? Do I need to say aloud everything I notice? Yes, it's true. She has a different style of clapping than I'm used to seeing. Why does it matter that I see that? I think for me, when I see a show that's the Roast of John Cleese on Channel 7, for me, the main word that comes to mind is cynicism. I see a cynical, bottom of the barrel display. It's like sickening.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's done at a casino. It's just sickening and artless.
The show's the show, so everything that they're showing you is in the context of the project they're showing you.
Absolutely. And for me...
If you saw her down the street clapping at something, you wouldn't have cared.
No.
But because you saw this shot, after, can I say in Robbie's defense, a Hitler joke.
Yeah.
After a very racy joke.
Yeah.
And it, to me, felt that this person was shown to maybe even out the problematicness of the joke to the audience.
That's what I bring up when I use the word cynicism, is because I feel that the whole... I think Channel 7 in general, I kind of get this sense, any sort of commercial media in Australia, there is that sort of cynical, titillating, profit-driving, dehumanizing kind of motivation for me at its core. And so what I see when I see that is a very cynical virtue signaling, mathematical approach to how to put together a show. It did cause a lot of reflection for me because, yes, I did notice that. Yes, I hate the supposed cynicism of a piece of media like that. And imagining the sort of decision-making behind the editing. And that's kind of what I was, I think, angry about most, is thinking about that dehumanizing cynicism driving the decisions.
Yeah.
Not so much... this lady can't clap. It's not, for me, it wasn't the face of it.
No.
It was kind of like what seemed to be in the background.
Which is basically exactly the same as my pansexual barber story. It's not that he's pansexual and polyamorous. None of that matters. It's the context of which that information was given me.
So it's interesting to think about, because probably we would probably all agree, seeing, a diverse people on screen is a fine thing. For
course.
people to feel valued and seen like that, fine. Does it matter the cause of that diversity on screen? So if we have a net benefit, does it matter the impulse for why that is there?
Yeah.
Does it matter that it might be a pure intention or a profit-driven intention?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that, but it's been mulling with me quite a lot.
Yeah.
The caged egg industry is another one recently where, like, basically they're being phased out by 2036 in Australia. It's causing a lot of dramas in the industry. Caged egg spokespeople will say that it's only the sort of, the lefty, greeny people that are worrying about this, that they still represent a huge part of the industry, and that the supermarkets get a way bigger margin on free range alternatives than they do caged.
Right.
So, basically putting forward, well, there's a profit incentive at the core of why they're switching over. Does that matter? Is it a point that matters?
Yeah. It's
if we get a
interesting.
net benefit that reduces suffering.
This question hangs over, as a cynical person, hangs over a lot of things in my life. This question, and whatever the answer is, it's I don't know.
Another good example that comes to mind, you know that band Camp Cope?
Yes.
So they had that big song a number of years back called, I think it's The Quota, or I don't know the name of the song, but it's like, that'll fill the quota. You know that one?
I don't know
Get a female
specifically.
opener. Get a female opener. That'll fill the quota.
Sure.
Can't remember the name of the song, but it was a big deal. It was a big deal at the time. And yeah, so for me, that question resonates in that song too. It's like, well, yeah, okay, so the person singing is singing it kind of sarcastically.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, bookers will get a diverse cast to appease certain people attending or that want to have ideas about the showcase. But if the net result is that there are more women and diverse people on bills, what's the problem?
I've got two things to say. One's a small anecdote on mine, and one's an answer to that, or what I think might be going on. The first is, this is very similar to when I got flack from the people who watch my stream. Shouts out, love you, Clam Gang, who came back at me because I expressed and was screaming about how Into the Spider-Verse, that animated, had like at one, there's like whole different versions of Spider-Man, and one comes through the portal and it's fucking a pregnant woman in a hijab in a wheelchair. And I can't. And I can't deal with that Spider-Man. From Marvel, I'm sorry, I can't deal with that. And I was...
Is that real?
Yeah. And like...
Are you serious? Is
she's
that
sassy as hell.
No, is that a joke?
Maybe I'm mixing two of them up, but there was definitely a pregnant Spider-Man. There was definitely a wheelchair Spider-Man, and there was definitely a netted hijab Spider-Man. And maybe I'm mixing them together to be hyperbolic. And I was screaming about it, and and I also just love saying pregnant hijab wearing in a wheelchair Spider-Man. But what I think we're talking about, actually, what I think we're pushing back on is none of the... As a society, we're always in a state of flux, but I think things are speeding up. I think we all agree the rate of change is dizzying, and there's like notable markers that have been agreed on to show technological advancements, everything. The rate of advancement, the rate of change is speeding. It's hard to keep your head, right? So we're all dealing with and trying to navigate an ever-changing world. And I think for the most part, we're all compassionate, empathetic, loving people who are trying our best to be respectful and be understanding to the change that we're presented with. I think what we're taking issue with is capitalism. Because big corporations, in order to appease to this changing world, need to put a catch-all, need to put a mass appeal and cover and check off these bases to continue making money off us. So I think that pandering, as much as it's a reflection of positive change in society, leaves a bad taste in our mouth because essentially we're still being sold something, and there is a degree of misleading what's the word? Calculation to that, which is inherently a little bit dishonest and a little bit manipulative, and that feels bad. And that's where we feel the need to joke about it, to push back on that, because it's not about the people. It's not about the woman who claps weird. It's about the fact that the execs in the boardroom chose to show her at that moment, and that's gross to us.
I think you put it perfectly.
Oh, sweet.
That's exactly it. And I just on my bookshelf saw today for the first time in a while, Capitalist Realism.
Shouts out.
Which I remember, I was kind of cringing at myself thinking about how
cringe.
much...
I used to find it so interesting.
I used to go on and on and on about that thing in a way that was... Fucking hell. Anyway, but it's nice to hear that come from you for once, I guess.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
And I think as long as we live in a capitalist world, I'm not commenting on that, we're going to have this experience. And I think, if anything, as we the people, can we not have a bit of fun with the slop that's being fed to us? Can we not have a bit of a wink and a nudge to one another while we're eating it? I was in the movie. I paid for the ticket. I saw Spider-Verse. Can I not have a joke? Can I not say the joke?
The people in the streets
are
going over receipts with a magnifier.
Dylan?
MGMT.
No. So, yes.
Anyway, so that was interesting. And, I really felt very... I felt like a pariah in that moment. But then...
He went quiet.
Dart kindly came to my rescue in a weird way to bring up a similar situation that he had been in previously, where the reaction had been like the one that I was having.
Yeah.
And the tables turned and everyone had a go at you. Like, you kind of, you really did fall on your sword for me.
I did.
Which was very kind.
Yeah, I brought up a take that I'd taken that said in the exact same context, and then everyone was kind of like, oh yeah, well that is fucked up to say and went in on me.
And I happen to agree with you. But anyway.
With what I said?
Yeah.
We agree with each other's problematic take.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm just going to say it because I know I stand by the take.
Okay.
And like, we're saying a lot of pretty red hot things in this episode, maybe. I hope we don't regret it. But the problematic take that I had that made the room turn on me was I said it was wild that Trisha Paytas had an OnlyFans that was super popular. I said that blows my mind that Trisha Paytas has an OnlyFans that makes her millions and millions of dollars. Essentially what I was saying was that it's wild that many people want to pay to see her masturbate and do sexual acts on camera, because I guess I find her so...
You don't like the look of it.
Look, I'm fat too, right? I'm not...
You find her repulsive.
I find Trisha Paytas repulsive, and it's not because she's fat. It's many reasons. It's her brand.
You don't need to go into it, but basically
Exactly.
that's the gist.
Exactly. And then the room turned on me. I said, "Do your worst." I was in front of Robbie.
It was interesting to think about, actually, because that sort of it sort of sowed the seed of a theme for the night, which was wondering if certain people had OnlyFans and what the response would be like.
Yeah.
Maybe this was just me, but afterwards, after we watched the Roast of John Cleese, the inevitable YouTube session, the VJing came about, which was, I always find fascinating with people I care about. To decide what we enjoy together is really interesting. We were watching a Selena Gomez video, and I kind of thought that if she got an OnlyFans, if Selena Gomez got an OnlyFans, it would break the platform.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would break the platform. And interestingly, I think you brought up, like, what if Taylor Swift had an OnlyFans? And I happen to think that Taylor Swift having an OnlyFans relative to her popularity would actually be an insignificant thing.
And I agree with you. And the reason...
It's weird to think about.
Yeah, the reason I brought it up wasn't because I thought it would be super popular. I agree with Robbie. What I would be interested to see is how her young female fan base would react to something like that.
Probably poorly, because the way that they seem to clamour with these open letters about any movement she has is just fucking the weirdest shit I'll ever read. Have you noticed anything? Like, sometimes on Reddit you'll see it like reach the front page. It'll be like,
yeah, absolutely.
Don't be with Travis Kelce because of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Rory had a funny thing to say, which I agree with. He's like, hating on Taylor Swift is like racism.
Yeah,
It's like in
is.
the room you kind of have to like reckon with who might where people's allegiances might lie.
Rory saying that was so true, because, and when he said that, it articulated so perfectly, because there's been times where I've wanted to say something about Taylor Swift, and if you're in the room with a Swiftie, you'll upset them.
Yeah, I did actually have one constructive conversation, in opposition as to our opinions recently with a friend about, like, he had recently gotten into Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Will.
True. No, it was a different friend. But, yeah, so I did have that. But mostly it's sort of like you can't even talk.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, my mate's girlfriend, and he'll know, he listens to the show. I've said, basically, I'm indifferent, and that's not good enough. In the past, I've said I'm indifferent, and that's and that's like, fuck you. You can't be indifferent. She's undeniable. It's like, fuck, all right.
Just on a bow on this Swiftiness. I don't know if we mentioned it, but there was a group chat with me, Dart, and another friend, and Will, who's recently become a Swiftie for some reason. And he was sort of suggesting, he's like, oh, it's modern Beatlemania maybe? Is she the modern Beatles? And I think you kind of summed up the position quite well, which is essentially the Beatles, what I think is it's too complex of a thing to say. The timing, the context is everything. So it's just a different time in that sense. But also, you can't see the Beatles' music accurately being performed by anybody else, but you can see Taylor Swift's music being kind of authentically being shared by another voice pretty easily.
And that's Robbie and I, at my view. We I think that's one of the Beatles have something that only they could do at that time, and they did it, and it's that, and it hasn't been replicated since. It's been emulated, blah, 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 covered, whatever, but it's so uniquely the Beatles. Whereas for me, and I think for you as well, Taylor Swift, if you found another competent singer-songwriter with a similar cadence of voice, they could do those songs, and to me it wouldn't be. But look, I can picture a non-Beatles fan saying that about the Beatles, so maybe we're wrong, but guess what? I don't reckon we are. I reckon we're fucking right.
Yeah, and I agree with that. One of the other things that we watched of note after the Roast of John Cleese in the room was Justin Timberlake's Tiny Desk concert.
Oh, yeah.
Which had a band of probably 15.
We'll include a 1 second shot of this shot that kept coming up. Just 1 second, and you'll see the strangest Tiny Desk shot that's ever been. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Everyone seemed to have an issue with that. But the only thing I want to say about it is you said something really funny, which was he just looks shit right now. Like, Charlie said he's had the same haircut for years.
He looks like fucking trash.
Everyone in the room seemed to agree. For me, he looks kind of fine. I don't really like him. I kind of, I absolutely think he's got some bangers and stuff, but I don't really care for him. But I think he looks fine. But you think he's quite
He looks
ugly?
like a reanimated corpse. He looks like a corpse that they've like pumped with drugs, and like he looks like he's got makeup done by a mortician. He looks like he's been fresh out of a fucking open casket funeral. He looks fucking trash. And he's a handsome man. Like, age, bruh. Like, just age. Allow yourself to age and be cool with it, because your insecurities are screaming. And this Tiny Desk cannot contain them. They're screaming.
I didn't like what he was wearing. I hate the little pearl necklace, the soft shirt. It's like we see right through you.
I know.
You know.
I know.
He's a big bear of a man. Big bear of a man. That's why the producers had to hang our dinners in a tree. So that Shane couldn't get to them.
Oh, is it this one?
No,
no?
the one
Okay.
below you.
All I'm going to say, climate change sucks. It's the whole thing summarized. Okay. We're good? A truth. We walk the earth harnessing. We walk it branding and capturing. Our own exhumation peels back to reveal a femur and ulna locked together by joint stirrups. We are made of subjugation. The only authority we acknowledge is our own monstrosity.
So, you know what? In a way, it's obviously gone viral as good on them, because what do they want but for that message to be resonating?
Yeah, good point.
So good on them, but also like, fuck, there's something so awesome about that.
It is not a crime to be young and cringe.
No.
That is so funny because it's so dumb. It's so stupid, even though it's pure at heart. It's so uni kid and just, hey, you're a climate major and you're a environmental studies major and we're in an arts program. They want us to tie it to another thing and let's do this. And it's like, you don't know about the world, you fucking idiots. Like, and it's so funny, but it's so pure and it's like, it's
Can I say,
cringe.
fuck, no, you're right, absolutely right.
I love it.
Dude, arbitrary collaborations.
Great.
Some of the worst art.
Yeah,
ever.
absolutely. Agree. Let me think too.
I recently, something that comes to mind for me are like these, the concept of immersion. You know, when like a museum or something like that does like an immersive piece that kind of, they always use the latest technology and it's always something you've seen before. And they think that just like arbitrarily putting 3 TV screens in a room that are all showing something different is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
100%. I remember
arbitrary.
I had I went to a gig and this woman I know who was an artist. The gig, the person I was seeing was a friend too, and I didn't know the woman so much, and he's in a jazz band, fantastic jazz band. And they played this set at this club, and it was fucking amazing. He's a pianist, and this woman that I know was interpretively painting next to them. That was trash, and it was cringe. And like she'd kind of invited herself to do that as well, and I just I don't know, I can't handle that.
There needs to be a reason. Like, for instance, you'll see a broadcast being translated by a person for those that can't hear. It'll be signed. That collaboration makes sense. There's a reason for it. It's obviously not art, but...
Yeah.
But there's a reason.
Yeah.
Arbitrary movements.
Yeah.
Stop sleepwalking. Don't you reckon? Like, you know, stop ego tripping.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I paint. I've been doing this thing that I really fuck with.
Yeah. Can I do that at the front near the stage while you do your thing? That's way more incredible.
Now, the other thing, I just wanted one more link I wanted to show you, if that's all right.
Have you sent it to me?
You sent it to me.
Oh.
So this is Darts Menagerie.
Okay.
Are you screen recording?
I will screen record now. So it's in our...
Yeah, you sent it to me on that account.
This one?
Up. This one.
Oh, so good. This guy's great.
How'd you sleep, Papa Bear?
Slept good. How about you?
Oh, I slept splendid.
So how people who don't drink coffee expect us to react?
You want me to make you some coffee extra sweet?
Nah.
Ugh, Papa, if you hate me, just say that.
I don't drink coffee.
And the anomaly continues.
Man,
I've never drank coffee. I never really have.
I'm 10 years deep in my addiction.
I feel like I don't really need it. Like, I'm always more awake than...
Natural charisma is a blessing, isn't it? Must be.
Y'all be drinking coffee every morning?
Just me and my 800 milligrams. Oh, that's a light morning for me. That's a pregame.
Yeah, I feel like I just wake up and thug it.
Thug me
That's
out,
himself.
Papa.
Thug me out, Papa.
Yeah, I just wake up, drink some water, and I just get going.
Oh, you're way more equipped for life than we are.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like if I drink coffee, I'd be all jittery.
Like how we are around you. Horse skipping beats. Hey, I know how you can help wake me up.
They all want to fuck him as well. Like, he's so...
So is that his usual thing? Is it
Yeah,
having
yeah.
sort of fake audience react?
Yeah.
He does it. He does a really good job of, like, because it's quite long, I think. But it's worth it.
It is worth it. And he, funnily enough, did one about people leaving the group chat.
Cool. Very cool.
He did.
I like that.
I like that.
Me and my 800 milligrams.
That's a light morning for me. Thug me out, Papa.
What I love about that is, like, making explicit the measurement of the caffeine, which is...
No, does anyone do that?
Who does it? I don't know. I love it.
Should we do love, hate?
Yep.
So, what have you got for love? You got anything?
Yeah, two things. Just very quickly, we were remarking before, why is it that stunt people in movies, when they're bashed back, they always shake their limbs really hard. If they're punched, they're sort of like, if they're thrown back, they go like. So there's this shake that I find, and it's every single one. You'll see it and it's just good training. It's like dancing, I guess, to give the. I don't know. It just obviously gives an effect that everyone seems to agree is a good thing.
I guess.
On screen. And the other thing that we've talked about before, I think off pod, but like, why is it that flame guys, people that are on fire, they always windmill their arms slowly?
So good. It's so good.
That just makes me laugh. And I'm rereading Kafka's The Castle at the moment. And it's proving to be, I'm picking up some interesting stuff. I think what The Curse does well, the show, is there's this kind of, the idea of sort of like a biblical story or a fable comes up. I think that's what Kafka does very well with his writing. There's sort of like this kind of, it's got a mystery to it that is quite cheeky as well. It's not up its own ass, but it's definitely a bit off kilter. Yeah. And cheeky is the best word that I can use for it. And you can kind of ascribe whatever meaning you want to it. It's not going to give it to you, but there's something there, right? So I'm just going to give you one moment of poetic sort of brilliance to me that I don't really know what it means, but came up here. So the castle is this sort of like impenetrable place where you, the stranger, the protagonist is called Kay, sort of arrive in the surrounding village and are trying to get into the castle and are kind of running into all these obstacles and bizarre sort of social situations. And he's on the phone to an official at sort of the castle or near the castle trying to get his way in. And what he hears on the phone is this. The receiver gave out a buzz of a kind that Kay had never before heard on a telephone. It was like the hum of countless children's voices, but yet not a hum, the echo rather of voices singing at an infinite distance, blended by sheer impossibility into one high but resonant sound which vibrated on the ear as if it were trying to penetrate beyond mere hearing. Kay listened without attempting to telephone, leaning his left arm on the telephone shelf.
Yeah, it's awesome. It reminds me of the voice from June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And it also reminds me of something similar that Stephen King wrote about in his Dark Tower series, this like deafening chorus that like reaches the very DNA of you rather than just the auditory parts. Like it's kind of cool idea.
It is.
Like a baby's cry, you know, it kind of reaches beyond the auditory.
What I love about this particular idea, though, is like it's a dial tone.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's like this entirely insignificant, shouldn't be remarked upon thing that's somehow extremely bizarre in this strange land.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know. Yeah, really sort of
It's like a fantasy novel?
struck me. It's a fable of sorts. It's fiction. And yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Would I like it?
I think so. Cool. Yeah. There's some of the ways that he describes social like contracts and interactions is pretty unique in my experience.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Dope.
Kind of and funny as well.
Yeah, dope.
Yeah. What are you loving?
So what I am loving is, well, actually, there's something. So just before love, I had to. I think this ties in quickly with what we were speaking about before regarding like, and I can't believe I didn't bring it up before, regarding like corporateness, capitalism, and like wokeness and everything. One of my close friends told me 2 nights ago, and I got his permission to share this, that they had, he works at a factory. He works at this big organization, but he works in the factory floor part of it. And they're doing Harmony Day, where people bring in dishes from their cultures, they share it. And their boss...
Interesting to be doing it during Ramadan.
That is interesting. Yeah, they did it 2 days ago. They did it yesterday. And he said that their boss had it in their team meeting, basically said, everyone brings in $10, they'll get KFC. And they'll bring half the chicken down to the Harmony room floor to share it. They'll keep half of it back up in the break room so they don't have to share. And I was screaming, because I've actually met this boss, best bloke, such a nice guy.
Wow.
Because my mate had a +1 to his like Christmas party and he wanted me to come. So I met everyone he works with. And it's just so funny how these corporate grand ideas trickle down to the factory floor and how they're interpreted by the blokes on the floor. Everyone brings in $10, we'll bring KFC, but that's not even it. We'll only share half. We'll keep the other half for us.
Isn't
it beautiful?
So pure.
It's so funny.
So pure.
It's so, because they just want to eat, man.
It's Kafkaesque, really. It's fuck, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So what I'm loving, and I've shared this with the group chat, I am loving the new album titled I Got Heaven by a band called Mannequin Pussy. Fantastic punk album. Just fucking awesome. I sent a performance that was really resonant. Did you get a chance to check it out?
I didn't get a chance yet. I haven't watched it yet.
Loud Bark Deep Bite. I Got Heaven by Mannequin Pussy.
Is that on Spotify?
It's on Spotify, baby.
All right.
The doctor's calling.
All right. I hate doctors.
You do yours.
No.
Hello.
Let's just say goodbye. Just say 2 seconds.
1 second. I'll just pop you on mute for a second. I'll be back with you. Okay. Thanks.
Is it on mute?
Yep.
All right. Dart's got to go for a doctor's appointment. So, lovely to speak to you, mate. Lovely to see you.
And I hate Shrek humor. That's my hate.
Yep, fair enough.
Shrek humor.
I do too.
It's not funny. It's not ironic.
Oh, yeah. There's that DJ that's been going viral recently.
Hate it.
I'll include some video of that. And thank you so much to our Patreons. We've been getting a few more Patreons recently. It's so lovely. We really appreciate it so much.
We really do. We're close to 50. 41.
Links to the socials in the description. We hope you have a good one and we'll see you soon.
Love you. Bye.